Hi, I'm Phyllis, southernfrugal.com. Today we're going to make a marble pound cake. Now, marble cakes were very popular in the 1950s. Now, I think they were making them in America here in the 1940s too, but I remember them from the 1950s. And I think they actually had a Betty Crocker yellow cake mix, and you could make it into a marble cake. But this one is going to be a pound cake. Now, a pound cake usually does not use any baking powder or baking soda. What causes it to rise will be the expansion of the eggs. Now, this recipe is going to have 7 eggs, 7 large eggs. We're also using white lily flour, and this is the 100% soft winter wheat flour. So in my opinion, it's actually better than cake flour. I like it better anyway. It's all-purpose flour. So anyway, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 325 degrees, and you want to grease a tube pan. Really grease it well with some type of shortening. Now, I use Crisco shortening, but you can use any kind of shortening. I would not use butter, because butter will cause the bottom and sides of the cake to get too brown. So you want to use some type of shortening to grease the pan, and grease it very thoroughly, and then sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. Alright, so now we're going to get started. You'll need 1.5 cups of real butter. Now, I would say that to use margarine, you're not going to get the same taste as you will if you go ahead and use real butter. I do use salted butter on every recipe I do, pretty much. So we are going to add a little additional salt, but for now, we're just going to get the butter and the sugar mixed in. So this is 1.5 cups of butter. And again, I'm going to leave the recipe ingredients right down below, not the instructions, but the ingredients will be down below in the show more section. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. I've got my KitchenAid here and ready to go. So let me move y'all closer to it, like that. Alright, and so we're ready to start mixing, and I'm just going to mix it on low to start with. Now, my butter I set out this morning and got it to room temperature. I actually set it over on my counter in the window where the sun was coming in, so that made things go really fast. Also, you want your eggs at room temperature too, because it's going to just make it a whole lot easier to mix. Now, we're going to add to this 1.5 cups of butter. We're going to add 2 cups of regular sugar. I'm just going to dump that in. And now we're going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Now, I do like to add that in with the butter. I think it mixes better that way. Alright, so there is 1 teaspoon. And there's 2 teaspoons. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and add 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. And again, that's because my butter is salted. Alright, we're going to turn that up a little bit. Now, you can use a hand mixer or a little electric hand mixer with this. It'll work just fine. The thing is, though, you need to make sure you beat this for a pretty good while. So we're going to start adding the eggs now. I'm going to add 1 egg. I'm going to turn it down on low again. Let that mix up a little bit, and then we're going to just keep doing that till we've got all 7 eggs in this batter. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, we've got all 7 of the eggs mixed in with the sugar, the butter, and the vanilla, and the little bit of salt I added. So now we're going to add the flour, and this is 3 cups of the white lily all-purpose flour, and I did sift it and then I measured it, then I actually sifted it again. but you want to sift it so you, otherwise the flour kind of packs down and you might end up with too much flour and it would come out kind of dry. So we're going to do a little bit, 1/4 of a cup of buttermilk I'm using. You can use regular whole milk if you want to, but 1/4 of a cup. All right, so we're ready to start adding the flour now. I'm just going to turn it on low. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pour the 1/4 of a cup of the buttermilk right in there. Just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and keep adding the flour. And again, this is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And I do think White Lily makes the best cakes, just bar none. To me, it's even better than cake flour. I'm going to cut this off and just stir down the sides a little bit. And stir it up kind of from the bottom also a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be a pound cake, and hopefully it will have a great texture. And by the way, with pound cakes, you really shouldn't have any crumbs. It should cut smoothly, and it should also be very moist. All right, we're going to mix that just a little bit more. All right, that should do it. Now, you don't want to mix it too much once you've got your flour in the batter, because that will make your cake tough if you keep mixing it. But you can mix it as much as you want to when it's just the butter and the eggs and the sugar. All right, so we're going to use part of this batter to make the chocolate part of the cake. And I've got 2 tablespoons of Hershey's cocoa that I'll be using. And I'm going to mix that in with about 1/3 of the batter. And we're going to mix that in by hand. So what I want to do then is go ahead and take this off. Get my mixer out of the way. Like that. So I'm going to take about 1/3 of this and put it in the same bowl the flour was in. That should be, that might even be a little over 1/3 there, but it doesn't really matter. All right, so now I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of Hershey's unsweetened natural cocoa in. And then all I'm going to do is just stir that around and mix it up in the batter. Yeah, I went ahead and sifted the cocoa so that it would not have any lumps to speak of. Yeah, you kind of have to do this by hand because I've really got my other batter in the mixer bowl. Now, I don't like real super chocolatey stuff, so I'm only using 2 tablespoons. But if you want more chocolate, you could easily add up to 4 tablespoons. All right, that looks like it's pretty well mixed now. So now we want to put it in the in the pan here. All right, so I'm going to start out and go ahead and put the yellow batter in first. Just kind of spread it around in there. And then I'm going to just go ahead and dump the chocolate right in on top of that. And again, this is going to be lighter chocolate than the cakes used to look like. They were more chocolatey, but I just don't like that much chocolate. I prefer a milk chocolate. Get all of that in. Now we're going to, again, bake this in an oven that's preheated to 325 degrees. All right, so I've got my chocolate in now. Now I'm going to go ahead with the rest of the yellow batter. And just dump that in. That doesn't have to be even or anything. You just have to kind of dump it in. Make sure I get all of that out. Now I'm just going to gently spread that. Out like that. And now here's what we want to do. I'm going to take just a regular knife and just kind of swirl around like that. You don't want to swirl too much because you want to see some definite. And then I'm just going to go like that, right around it. All right, this is ready to go in the oven. We'll see y'all back here in probably about 45 minutes, maybe to an hour. Although this usually doesn't take but about 45 minutes to cook. But anyway, we'll see how long it takes. All right, we'll be back when it's done. All right, I just took the cake out of the oven. It cooked for exactly 55 minutes at 325 degrees. Now we're going to let it cool in this pan for 10 or 15 minutes, then we're going to dump it out and let it finish cooling on the plate, because otherwise it's hard for them to come out of the pan if you let them get too cool in the pan. I'm going to make some icing or some kind of glaze to go on it. But anyway, we're getting ready to eat our lunch. Hamburger steak with onions. Going to have some mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, and I'm also getting ready to fix the biscuits. So we'll be back with y'all, I don't know, in about an hour. That should be enough time for the cake to cool. And by the way, once I dump it out, I'm going to put some saran wrap over it because I want all the moisture that's in it to stay in it. All right, we'll be back an hour maybe. All right, we are back and we have already had our main meal of the day. The cake is ever the slightest bit warm, but I'm going to go ahead and make a little icing type glaze for it. All right, so here we go. I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter that I've melted. I'm going to add a little bit of half and half. Just a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons. And I'm going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of Hershey's cocoa to that. And we're also going to go ahead and add some vanilla. I'm just going to squirt a few drops in like that. A teeny little pinch of salt. Let's just mix that up a little bit. Get that chocolate or that cocoa powder so it's not so many lumps in it. I did not strain it, but maybe I should have. All right, so there are little lumps in there of the Hershey's cocoa, but I'm just going to go right ahead and add some confectionery sugar. And we're just dumping it in. This is going to make more of a milk chocolate glaze rather than a deep chocolate. Now, if you wanted deep chocolate, of course, you just need to add more of the cocoa. All right, so I'm just going to beat this a little more, and when I've got the lumps out of it, we'll be back. All right, we're ready to put on this glaze. It does still have some specks of that cocoa in there, but I'm just going to let that go. Doesn't matter. Just going to put some on the top. Now this cake is going to be pretty rich, so you don't really need that, you know, a big coating of icing on it. So I want some of it to run down the side of it. And down in the middle too. Well, my icing has gotten a little too hard. Get it over here. All right, that's it. It isn't the prettiest cake I've ever seen, but I can tell you it will be good. All right, we're going to cut this and get it in the saucer, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we've got the glaze on the cake now, and I'll show you what it looks like. There it is. And this is going to taste more like milk chocolate. I'm going to taste of it for y'all. Y'all always want me to taste of what I cook. I already know what it tastes like, but here goes. It's very moist, and it tastes like milk chocolate. Very good. Here's the other piece. Isn't that pretty? This is the top of it. It's still ever the slightest bit warm. There's what it looks like inside. You know, marble cake from the 1950s. We will see y'all next time. I got to get some milk, or at least a little bit. I can't drink much milk, but I'm going to drink some. Bye for now.